Welcome to Conversations with Marius Dosinescu. On this podcast, I sit down and interview the top SEO and e-commerce experts to bring you the latest insights and strategies for improving your online presence. Whether you're just starting out in the world of SEO or you're seasoned pro looking to stay up to date on the latest trends, this is the podcast for you. So, if you're ready to take your website to the next level and learn from the best in the industry, be sure to subscribe to Conversations with Marius Dosinescu. You can find us on aisa.ai, where you'll also find a wealth of useful information and amazing podcasts to help you grow your online business. Hello everybody, my name is Marius Dosinescu and I'm the host of Conversations with Marius Dosinescu podcast. It's our sixth episode or seventh already. I'm very happy about the feedback that I got and also the very good feedback from startups and entrepreneurs. They are happy to see open discussions with top entrepreneurs, top business people, professionals in all the spaces, not only SEO and e-commerce. So probably I will change a little bit the focus because people are also very interested about the tech startups. Because my startup, aisa.ai, it's a tech startup, and people are looking also for this. Today we have a special guest, Ferdinand Mühlhäuser. He's the managing director of Founders Institute Berlin. I got to know him through the fact that I'm an alumni of Founders Institute Bucharest, and I interacted very easily with people from the same network because it's continuously supporting network. Even if after you graduate, you have access to a lot of people. So basically, instead of doing things by yourself, you can do it with a lot of other people. It's great professionals all over the world. Founders Institute Berlin. It's basically the representative of Founders Institute United States there. And it's from my point of view, it's the best accelerator in the world with the best conditions. Sometimes you have to compare very well the equity, everything that they're doing for you, with also the very small cost that you have at the beginning. Okay, so welcome, Ferdinand.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting me, Marius. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight on the podcast.
That's great. Actually, thank you very much for accepting, because I'm trying to take my podcast internationally, and through a Founders Institute network, I really think this will be very easy for me. Can you tell us a little bit about your background now related to Founders Institute, of course, what you are doing there, and also what you have done before?
Yeah, well, of course I can. So my background is very much in consulting. So I've have a classical consulting career for 13 years in Accenture, where I did a lot of things in both in airline and product development, system programming development, and also a little bit into the e-commerce area. While that was great, consulting is a great area to work in, and I had a wonderful time at Accenture. I understood that there is more out there, and that there is problems to be fixed in the world, which led me to do my first startup in 2007. And that was in the sharing economy space, so trying to help people with to be able to rent all kinds of stuff, you name it, like a drill or a trailer or something from other people. It was called friends.com, and was kind of my start into the startup ecosystem, startup space. I still stayed at Accenture for a couple more years, and then this startup turned into another one, which is still existing right now, which my back then partner is now heading. It's called styler.com, and it's kind of was the initiator for me to venture into the startup space. I had a small step into the normal business after my Accenture career with an airline, where I had the e-commerce business at that point of time. And after that, I decided to fully go into the startup ecosystem in Berlin. I had already invested in a few startups at that point in time, and was going out in the understanding and the vision of supporting more startups, not build an own startup, but supporting many other startups from that moment on. Which then a year later, 2 years later, led me into Founder Institute, where the back then leaders in Berlin asked me to join the team, which was a very natural progression and a wonderful step to make. And I've been leading it since then, which was in 2017, and have now supported around 70 companies that have been created during my time in my 99 cohorts up till now.
Wow, sounds an amazing background. I've always been an entrepreneur, and I don't know how to be employed in a company, because I started very early, and I learn by myself, and also through different trainings, and by doing a lot, of course. And sometimes I see a lot of coaches, a lot of trainers that they never had a startup in their life, and they are training about startups. Your background is simply amazing, because you understand both worlds, the one of the corporate and the one of the startups, because you had your own, and you have your own startup. And I think this is a great thing for startups to be a coach, to be advised by somebody who understands the struggles, who understand everything that happens with a startup, from the idea to MVP, from MVP to product to a business. It's very difficult. Okay, tell us a few things about the Founders Institute Berlin.
So it's actually one of the oldest chapters around the world. So Founder Institute Global has been founded in 2009, and Founder Institute Berlin was already founded or started in 2010, with being back then one of the first accelerators that actually ventured into Berlin. And now we are the oldest accelerator actually in Berlin. So despite not being a Berlin company, it's now the oldest consistently working accelerator in Berlin. I think we do quite a good job in executing the Founder Institute curriculum. We have a wonderful mentor base. Around 400 Berlin affiliated mentors are working with us, and more than 800 German-wide in total.
Wow.
We run 2 programs per year. So next one now from in 2023, the first one is going to start in mid-March. And then we run a fall program, which typically starts in September or early October. The program is obviously the worldwide core program, but we have added several aspects which we thought was really relevant to support the founders even more. So we have additional workshops in the customer development space, in the product development space, and we have a track which is talking about impact. So we're very much focused on helping impact founders as well, not just all general founders.
By the way, can you give us some metrics, some statistics regarding the success rate of your accelerator? I mean, from 70 companies, how many of them got founded? How many they grew into real business, and so on? Can you give us some statistics?
So let's start one step earlier. So the ones who actually joined the program, that was around 300, 280, 300. So from starting in the program to then finishing the program is typically somewhere between 20 and 30% that actually finish the program and graduate from it. From these that graduate, There's of course they are still early in their startup time frame, so they have done a lot in those three months, from sometimes barely being able to pitch what they want to do, to having a clear description of the company goals and a wonderful pitch, having increased the network by a lot during that time, having usually also collected some advisors to support the company along the way. So a lot has been done, but of course it's still early in the startup time frame, and there's still a lot to do to actually get the product out in the market to get it scaled. Mm-hmm. So what we typically see is that after a few years, there's like around a quarter or so of the companies who do not continue working. Then there is somewhere between 30 and 50% who like working a little bit, doing something, having a small company that is running. And then there is the remaining around 20 to 40% who are actually going into funding and growing their companies. So that's the typical statistics. For example, last year we had around 8 funding rounds in my portfolio, in this 70 company portfolio. I would expect that we're going to have a similar number in this upcoming year.
Actually, I've been mentoring the Founders Institute Bucharest, Eastern Europe, actually, and also I just graduated from Founders Institute Eastern Europe, and I can tell you that the program is hard. But the main thing that I gained from my point of view was the trust into my business, and the fact that I validated my idea, and I got amazing advices from amazing mentors. So basically, it's the same concept there. And I think the ones that are dropping out are the ones that are not ready to become entrepreneurs. So
often we see this same thing. I mean, the notion before people join the program, the notion is, okay, it's some kind of an education program. So many people don't understand what's going to hit them when they actually join. That it's not just a few lectures that they have to listen to, but that they actually have to work, show up, go the hard way, do the customer interviews, and all these things that are necessary to get the hard feedback and get the ratings and all these things. They are not prepared. If you go to the Berlin ecosystem, it often feels like quite warm, and like everyone is drinking coffee in the corner and talking about their great ideas, but like the hard work is seldom forced upon the founder before they go for actually have a VC on the cap table. Wow, so that's what we obviously mimic, and that's sometimes some people it's too much for some people, and then they find out quite quickly that this is how we work. And I think we're quite unique in the way that we work. I mean, the one thing which makes us unique is certainly the moment where we can start with the founder. So due to the way that we recruit and onboard people, it is very diverse and very early. So the only thing that has to be done to be able to enroll is to complete the entrepreneur assessment test, this DNA test, which checks how open, how flexible, how emotionally stable the founder is. If that fits into the picture that is required, then the people can enroll. So that they can even enroll with an idea from the shower or the bar from the night before. That's possible. But then the train is coming and is making them do all the things that need to be done, as you said, to validate the idea, to make sure that there is actually a problem that they fix, that there's customers for it, that there is support from mentors and advisors around that problem.
By the way, regarding this, the German entrepreneurs and Romanian or from other worlds, from other countries, can you spot a difference between them in terms of the way they are interacting, the way they are doing the task, the way they are thinking? I don't know, do you see any difference between them? Because I suppose you had in your accelerator people all over the world, not only from Berlin.
It's as I said, it's quite diverse. So we have people from everywhere. Last time we had one joining directly from Mexico, one from Italy, one from Africa, and I think also some from India. So I think we have had almost every continent. I'm not sure whether we have had Australia so far, but all the others have been with us.
Okay.
I wouldn't say there's sometimes we do feel some cultural differences regarding how easy people have it with pitching, for example, how they stick along with the assignments, how much work from our side has to go into making them follow the program. But in general, it's possible to do it from every part of the world, with every background. If you just want to do it and stick to it, then that is always possible.
Okay, so basically, the education system, the way they are, do you think plays an important role in entrepreneurs, or it's about the mentality of the country? What do you think about this?
In the end, probably both, of course. It's hard for us to tell, because we only have a very small selection of the people anyway in the Founder Institute, as they have to go that route and decide for that route and so on. So it's hard for us to tell how much more it could be, how many more people could become entrepreneurs if the society and the education would be different. I do believe that it has a strong impact, but it's for us it's hard to tell how much more it could be. So, for example, taking the German education system and the German entrepreneurial spirit, I do believe that could be a lot more. So the entrepreneur is not regarded as with a very positive positive notion in Germany. So and especially if they are successful, there's a lot of envy and greed and so on that's going on.
Like
so
everywhere.
It could be a lot better, and also the education around what it means to be an entrepreneur, what you can do with it, that you have so much opportunity to solve problems with being an entrepreneur, could be a lot better. So saying the people who come, they might have better education, but they come, so they found us, they found out that they want to do something. There's the specific selection, but I do believe that the selection could be a lot, or the numbers of people who should be doing something in an entrepreneurial way could be a lot larger.
Okay, so basically for the next cohort, for the next program that starts middle of March, you can accept also entrepreneurs from Romania without any problem.
Of course. Yeah,
so basically, if somebody wants to subscribe to the program, they should go to the fi.berlin, right?
Yeah, I'll just change my background picture so you know.
Okay.
So you can see it exactly there. So it's fi.co/Berlin is the entry point. Then you do the test. You pay the fee and you're in. It's that simple. And we start on March 16th.
Yeah, because I think when I entered in Founders Institute Eastern Europe, I really thought I can subscribe only here, but I think it's an information that you can subscribe everywhere in the world. You just need to be prepared to do everything necessary to get everything done. Okay.
Yeah, and actually the good thing about us is that we have been practicing the virtual cohorts quite a lot. So we turned in 2020, when pandemic hit, we turned our mostly offline program with physical sessions every week. We turned that into a fully virtual program within 1 week. So
Wow.
it was already a running program. We just had started the first sessions, and we moved it into Zoom within a week, which worked perfectly well. It was one of the strongest cohorts in that batch. But we're still a virtual first, so there's still most of the sessions are still virtual, but we have added a few offline components back into the program. So we chose 3 sessions out of those more than 20 sessions that we run in Berlin. We chose 3 specific sessions which make most sense to actually have in a physical way, which are those pitching sessions. You might remember them: the mentor idea review, the mentor progress review, and then the final, the celebration, the graduation event. So those we offer in a physical way as well, which doesn't mean that it's not possible to attend virtually, but we recommend, of course, to actually do the travel and meet the mentors and the other peers in the program in a physical way in those 3 sessions.
You almost convinced me, so probably I will subscribe also to your program. Okay, Ferdinand, tell us a few things about the German e-commerce market. As Romanians, I think our Romanian market reached around 4.6 billion euros, I think, in revenue. But I really want to, because I'm very interested in the e-commerce market all over the world, I really want to get an overview of the German market. Can you tell us a few things?
I mean, I don't have those statistics with me regarding the e-commerce market in Germany, but it's just checking the corresponding statistics. It should be around more than 100 billion euros in this year, the e-commerce market. It has certainly matured a lot, as all the markets around the world in the last 3 years, with also the pandemic hitting. Traditionally, Germany was certainly not the first mover regarding buying stuff online, but that has obviously changed to a big degree in these 3 years. You might have heard now, like the pandemic going back, that there's quite some struggles, especially regarding those fast delivery, same-day delivery or 15-minute delivery startups. So they have slashed lots of jobs. So there's some backlash regarding some of the models which were not financially viable yet. So there is some changes in the market right now, some consolidation also in this area. But at the same time, of course, we all know that there is still a lot to discover and to increase. So there's still a lot of space of things that can be done and that should be done to maybe also make the e-commerce market more diverse, to not give all the market share to the one company we all know of. And there is great companies also actually in my portfolio which do their share in making a stance and making this more diverse.
Last week I was in the weekend I was at an event in Greece, and they were presenting some statistics regarding the European market. And one of the statistics was talking about how many times people are buying online. And for Germany, for example, they were 6 times or more. 30%, 33% of them, more than 33, actually is the leading number. More than 33% of the German people are buying 6 times or more per year. So reported to 80 million population. right?
Yes.
Around 80 million.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think 33% of the people to buy online, it's huge in comparison, because they were giving comparison with Greece, for example. It's much higher, and for Romania, because we are comparing with Romania. 1 second, please. It's very interesting to see the difference, and I will ask you something after immediately. 1 second. In Romania,
Yes.
12%. So basically, 12% of the population is buying online 6 times or more. So basically, Germany is more advanced in terms of technology and evolution than Greece. Why do you think Greece is in front of Germany in terms of buying online? It's a matter of
Greece, I have a hard time to compare to Greece. I would expect that, for example, the US is still ahead of Germany by a big
Greece
factor.
is growing. Greece is growing. It's fine.
But sometimes there's different factors that play in. So there is also like the surroundings, the culture, what do you expect from the deliveries. Then there's the penetration of offline businesses. So how strong your inner cities are with respect to offers of offline businesses. So I'd say Germany has been quite reluctant to move to online. As I said before the pandemic, many people believe that offline, especially in the fashion area, for example, that offline is the only solution. And also in food, it was very seldom that people actually shopped online. Then also the credit card penetration and the use of payment methods, different payment methods than cash, is still probably one of the lower ones in European comparison. So I mean, I've been here. You cannot in Berlin. You cannot pay at every restaurant and every location. You cannot always pay with a credit card, for example.
Interesting. So I should bring cash with me.
Yeah, so I was in London. Like that was already 8 years ago or so. I brought British pounds for my first, and I was visiting quite a lot at that time. For my first 2 visits, I brought British pounds. The next one, I just slashed it. It wasn't necessary. Even like a bun for £1, I could pay that with a credit card.
I was in London.
Easier.
I was in London recently, and I used card everywhere. So it's amazing. The card market grew very fast in the past few years. Okay, let's talk a little bit about tech startups. I see a lot of entrepreneurs with a lot of ideas here in Romania. They are struggling to build a startup based on the idea without testing the market. I see a lot of mistakes. I see a lot of dreamers without actions, and so on. Can you tell us a few things about tech startups in Berlin, in Germany?
I mean, that's what I pointed to a little bit earlier. So dreamers without action, that is also something that we see a lot in Berlin. Maybe we have seen a bit more of those earlier, a couple of years ago, because Berlin was also a cheap place to live. So it was easy to just dream and not act for a long time. That has changed. So Berlin has become a lot more expensive to live in. So even like a small apartment is now whatever 700, 800, 900 euros, which was back then maybe a slot in a co-living was possible for 400 or so. So the living cost and also surrounding costs has been changing quite a lot. So this dreaming has become more expensive. So maybe some people have become more realistic about that. But it's still existing, and it's still often people don't start to validate. So they work on their idea, text-based with their one co-founder or whatever for years sometimes, without a lot of feedback from their customers, from their peers, from mentors, and so on. And it's very dangerous to not have that input, because very seldom this like idea grown in a nutshell without any input then suddenly comes into the market and finds the big market. So for Berlin in general, the support is quite extensive. So there is the ecosystem is quite strong and quite widespread opportunities. So of course we are the best entry. Well, no, I think we actually like making sure that you don't sit and dream without input is something that we do pretty perfectly. So to get started. But there is a lot of others that can also support. There's those entities which do it a little bit in a different way. There's the starting point. So they start to build teams instead of validating ideas, and then start to search for as a team. Start to search for an idea. So it's basically a different approach.
Yeah, they are building a solution, and after that they are trying to find a problem for the solution they build.
No. I mean, other accelerator. There's two other accelerators who are not where you don't go with an idea or a solution, but where you go as a person, as a founder. They help you find a team, and then they push you into finding a problem. So it's a little bit different approach there. So we are obviously. We like ideas. We like people who want to do something, and we help them find out whether the idea finds a problem or whether there's a problem in the vicinity which needs to be solved, and so on. So that is those three organizations are like in the very first stage. Then there is quite a lot of support from the state as well regarding founders, regarding entrepreneurs, which is also happening quite early in the life can happen quite early in the life of the entrepreneur. There's the so-called startup stipendium program, which is funded by the Senate, by the EU, where there is around 20 such programs run by different entities. So there you can still be quite early in the life of the startup, but you have to have a team. So a team has to be in place, and then they basically hand out a stipend for half a year or 9 months, where you get a salary, kind of stipend salary every month. You usually get some place to sit and some coaching. So a perfect combination, for example, is to do the validation in our program, and then move on, or at the same time enter one of those programs to get some stipend to have an easier time to actually live your life and not do too many side hustles to be able to focus on your startup.
I will ask you after the podcast to share all of this in links and details, because I think it's very interesting for Romanian entrepreneurs to apply to different programs if those are open also to entrepreneurs worldwide who wants to start a business in Berlin. I'm thinking to name the podcast "How to Start a Business in Berlin." So basically, we can help them sharing those information. Based on this, are there any special government programs to support startups in Berlin? I mean, there are here, but for a startup, it's very hard because you cannot get a grant for an idea. You have to have a company. The company has to have at least one employee last year. So basically, you cannot find grants for a startup in an idea or MVP stage.
Yeah, I mean, what I just mentioned, these startup stipendium programs, they are by the government for the startups, so they are they are doing something in that area. They are supporting the founders for a certain time, and it doesn't have to be already like a 5-people team with traction and so on. So that is actually very early support. There is also quite a lot of state-funded grants that are available. But of course, as you say, there has to be for those. Usually, there has to be an early company. There has to be an application which says, okay, this is what we're going to do, and then there is, for example, one is called Gründungsbonus. You have to bring from some source. You have to bring 50,000 euros in cash. It can be investor money. It can be your own money. It can also be a combination of a loan and investor money, for example. And then the state gives you another 50K on top. So it's a good starting. It's a good starting point. And there's a lot larger programs as well, which are then follow-on programs.
We'll share this in the description of the podcast. We'll share it with our listeners. I have a question. How does the war in Ukraine affects the startup systems? Have you seen a decrease of people starting new businesses, or you have seen an increase?
So I would go back a little bit more actually to the start of the pandemic, where we actually saw an increase, strangely enough, or let's say people being more focused because there was less distractions around our accelerator. Along the lines of the last 2 years, there was I would rather say there was a bit of a decrease for some time. So the activity was a little bit less ongoing in the pandemic. This this decrease hasn't increased a lot over the past year. It was still rather stable. We at this moment now that's going into 2023, it seems that there is actually a less appetite for starting new companies, which of course might be fueled by the notion that VC capital and business angel capital is less available, which at the same time is sad because probably to actually start your company now, to do the first steps in starting your company now, makes you ready when the market picks up, when the VCs and the business angels come back into the game. And are ready to fund startups. So, I mean, you usually from the idea, from finding the problem to having a fundable startup, does usually take half a year, maybe even a bit more. So, why not do that first step now and be ready when the money is ready as well? Because in that moment, if there's less people doing stuff now and doing good stuff, actually, we're going to have an easy.
I just got good bombs on me because I really think this is an amazing advice for entrepreneurs. Start now because the market will pick up. So it's amazing. It's just amazing.
So if you turn it around, if you start when everyone starts, because everything sounds shiny, then you can have a problem. But if you start when nobody starts, it's a good situation.
Actually, it's funny because I started my online flower shop long time ago. Nobody was buying online in Romania. And my only clients that I had, they were abroad in diasporas, in United States, Germany, UK, and they always push me for the things that they were seeing on those markets. So basically, I did the mom test in real time. The mom test, they were just giving me the answers to whatever I needed to do in order to solve their problem. They were telling me their problems without even ask them. So it was amazing. Okay, Ferdinand, thank you very much for your time. One last a few last questions that are more in personal part. How many hours do you sleep at night?
Actually, this increased quite a lot in the last 2 weeks because I was sick. I used to usually sleep around 6 hours, 5.5, 6 hours, but now I'm up to 7 to maybe 7, maybe sometimes even 8.
Okay, will you recommend entrepreneurs to lose sleep over the problems, or how can they cope with all the problems that the startup can have? What do you recommend them?
So my technique to make sure that it doesn't overwhelm, because I mean I don't have the problem of one startup, but I have the problem of 70 startups, so it can be overwhelming once in a while. But my activity is usually that I write down. So the stuff that I'm pondering too long, I write it down. I create a task out of it, or I create a post out of it, or whatever, to make sure that this is not just sitting in my head and being unanswered and revolving too long. And I think that's also something that for getting solid sleep is probably helpful to actually like get it out from only in the head to something written, to make sure or discuss it with others to make sure that it's not there for too long. And of course, you should usually not like go right from work to sleep without any other activity in between, like whatever, dozing off into an easy series, or doing some walk, or doing something which is very different from the actual work activity.
Actually, those are amazing advices. During my program in Founders Institute, because I was trying to and succeeding doing all the tasks, but in the same time keeping a balance with family and everything. I sometimes forgot to have time between from the moment I was leaving the office at home. I didn't have that time, so it was very difficult to keep up with everything that I've done, and my general feeling about everything went down. And after that, I starting actually in the program there are a few things. Okay, take time, spend time with your family, and so on. And by following those tasks, I managed to get out of that thing. So it's a great advice. Thank you for being in my podcast. Thank you for your amazing advices. And if somebody wants to reach you, they can do it on LinkedIn, and they can subscribe on the website for Founders Institute Berlin. Thank you again.
Yes, yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.